Ready to do midweek 24? Because I am. Let's review. A past or present what is formed from a verb and acts as an adjective. That is a present or past participle. And a noun formed by adding ing to a verb. You should know by now it starts with a G. It is a gerund. And a blank is the basic form of a verb plus the word to. They're used as nouns, adjectives, or adverbs. Those are infinitives. A blank is a noun or pronoun, often with the modifiers, that is set after another noun or pronoun. To better explain it, those are positives. So participles, gerunds, infinitives, and appositives can all be expanded into what, which are less than clauses. They can all be, starts with a P, they can all be phrases. Alright. So, whenever we substitute a simpler word group for a longer, more complicated word group, we say that we reduce that longer word group. So, to reduce a word group means to simplify or complicate it. Of course, it means to simplify it. Now, in general, you want to express your ideas in the simplest word group possible without sacrificing any clearness. A good sentence, like any good machine, doesn't have any useless parts to it. It has no fluffy stuff to it, okay? You want to say things in the most direct way possible. So remember the hierarchy of the sentence structure, which why don't you circle, star, highlight, put a big old one next to this, okay? The top of the pyramid, the thing that is the best thing to write is a sentence. A sentence has a subject, has a predicate, makes sense by itself. Step down from that would be a clause, right? Adjective, noun, or adverb clauses. They don't make sense by themselves, which is why they're less than sentences, but they do have a subject, they do have a verb. A step down from that would be a phrase. Remember, a phrase can be like a verbal phrase, and a positive phrase, infinitive phrase, prepositional phrase. Phrases don't have both the subject and the predicate. And they definitely don't make sense by themselves. They usually just have the noun. And then the lowest thing you can do is write a full-blown word, which are the parts of speech of like noun, verb, adjective, adverb, conjunction, preposition, etc., etc., etc. If you really wanted to, you could go a step down from that and have the individual letters, but you know the 26 letters of the alphabet, so we're not going to bother talking about them. Moving along. So the process of reducing a word group to a simpler word group is called, circle, star, highlight, reduction, right? It's just like it sounds. You are reducing to something less complicated. So, which of these two is an example of reduction and is therefore preferable in your writing? To have a sentence be changed into an appositive phrase or changing a single word into a clause? Which one's going down a step? That would have to be A, right? Because sentences are the biggest thing you can write. Going down 2 steps to a phrase makes it less than a sentence. So whenever you reduce a word group, you generally improve your writing by using fewer or more words, by using fewer words. Why is that important? Well, say like when you're trying to get into college and you have your applications that only allow you 200 words to tell us why you should get money for, going to this school, right? 200 words isn't a lot of space to talk about why you deserve all of the money for the scholarships to get into this prestigious college or whatever. So reduction is one of the ways to still get as much as possible into your essay, into your 200 words, without necessarily sacrificing space. I'll talk more about it when you guys are seniors, but it's important. So we've looked before at reducing sentences to subordinate word groups, whether they be clauses or phrases. Now we're going to practice some other types of reduction, because there's a few other types. So Anne stumbled while she was coming down the stairs. Okay, which 2 words out of this adverb clause can we take out of the sentence without necessarily changing the meaning of the sentence? Did you figure it out? It is she and was, right? Anne stumbled while coming down the stairs. Still makes sense. So by removing these 2 words, we are taking out from the adverb clause the subject she and the verb was. So part of the verb, right? Because coming is still technically a verb. So the word elliptical here means having words omitted. So circle, star, highlight. An adverb clause from which words have been omitted or taken out is called an elliptical clause. Don't think elliptical like the workout machine. It just means you're taking out words. Or I guess if you want to think like elliptical, like workout, like you're losing weight, it's like losing the weight of those two words, the she and the was. So Anne stumbled while she was coming down the stairs. So in this sentence, using the elliptical clause takes out how many words? 2, the she and the was. So write the elliptical clause to which the italicized adverb clause can be reduced. If you want to rewrite it, that's fine. If you want to just cross out the 2 words, that's okay too. So crackers will stay crisp if they are kept in a tin box. So of my adverb clause, if they are kept in a tin box, what are the 2 words we can take out and still leave behind a good sentence? Crackers will stay crisp if kept in a tin box. So we're taking out the they are. Notice it's always going to be the subject and part of the verb, usually the helping verb. While he was looking for a job, Ted had many disappointments. So again, same thing. To make this into an elliptical clause, what are the 2 words we can take out? He and was. While we're looking for a job, comma, Ted had many disappointments. It still makes sense, saves you some words. So if you're writing that college application, you'd be reducing it down, but not necessarily losing any of the content. So adverb clauses can often be reduced to present participle phrase as well. So if I have when I saw the child, comma, I put on the brakes, versus seen the child, comma, I put on the brakes. How many words get eliminated in this reduction by changing the saw to the present participle of seen? It takes out 2 words, right? 2 words got eliminated. So again, helpful if you have a word count that you can't go over. So reduce the adverb clause into a present participle phrase. Because I wanted experience, comma, I fixed the radio myself. So what is the verb here that's going to become my ing? Wanted, right? So wanted becomes wanting experience, comma, I fixed the radio myself. They both say essentially the same thing, but it does give you some variety in your sentences so that your reader doesn't get bored to tears. And adverb clauses that start with the clause signal so that can often be reduced into infinitive phrases. Remember, 2 plus a verb. So I set the alarm so that it would wake me up at 6. I can say I set the alarm to wake me up at 6. Okay, so then how many words got reduced? 3, essentially, so that it became just the 2, right? So then he adjusted the carburetor so that it would use less gas. If we wanted this to become an infinitive phrase, he adjusted the carburetor to what? To use less gas, right? It cuts out 4 different words there. To use less gas. Adjective clauses can also be reduced to the same type of verbal phrases. So the house was built on a hill that overlooked a lake. We can say the house was built on a hill overlooking a lake. Says the same type of thing, but which sentence has the present participle? Be. And what is the present participle? Overlooking. How do we know? Because it's got the ing. Remember, present participles always end with ing. So books may be borrowed by anyone who has a library card. So if we want to change this adjective clause into a present participle phrase, we could say books may be borrowed by anyone. Has becomes what ing word? Not hasing, but having a library card. Okay, so let's reduce an adjective clause into a past participle phrase. We bought some corn that was picked this morning. Of this adjective clause, what's the past participle that's already kind of in past participle form? Picked, right? We know because it ends with ed. So really, what are the 2 words of this adjective clause that we can take out and still leave behind a good sentence? That and was. We bought some corn picked this morning. Still makes sense as a sentence. And adjective clauses can sometimes also be reduced to infinitive phrases. Like, you need more facts that will prove your argument. We can take out the that and the will and just change it to a to. You need more facts to prove your argument. So the second sentence, we change the verb will prove into the infinitive of to prove. So we are planning a program that will stimulate an interest in science. So if we want to take this adjective clause and reduce it into an infinitive phrase, we say we are planning a program to what? What's the verb over here? If this little thing would go away, the little hover thing. We are planning a program to stimulate an interest in science. Okay? So, by understanding the various types of subordinate word groups, you not only save words, but you give your writing more interest, more variety, more spice to your sentences. And of course, variety is the spice of life, and it's the same as your writing. It makes it a lot more interesting to keep reading. So, if you thought that you had repeated the word because like way too many times, how could you change this adverb clause in the following sentence? I threw away the box because I thought it was empty. I can change it to I threw away the box. It was empty. What can I do here? I can take thought and turn it into what? Make it a present participle, which would be what word? Thinking. I threw away the box thinking it was empty. So you see, it says essentially the same thing, but if you reused because in like 16 sentences prior to the sentence, it'd be a good idea to change it up a little bit. So same type of thing, if you thought you'd used way too many clauses beginning with when you do this, when you do that, how could you change this adverb clause in this sentence? When you train a dog, always use the same commands. In what? A dog. Always use the same commands. Train can become training, right? In training a dog, always use the same commands. Make a gerund phrase. As I got off the bus, I saw fire engines. So if I had just written that sentence and then I wanted to continue on with another sentence, which of these two would offer a better variety? As I looked down the street, I saw a cloud of smoke, or looking down the street, I saw a cloud of smoke. Which one would be better? B, right? Because A is following the same structure of the adverb clause as this previous sentence did. And generally speaking, you don't want to follow the same sentence with the same type of structure. So we're going to reduce every italicized clause, and we're going to turn it into the type of phrase or clause indicated in the parentheses. So if they're overcooked, vegetables lose their flavor. We want to turn if they are overcooked into an elliptical clause, which remember, elliptical workout, you're going to take out some of the words. So what two words can we take out of here that leaves behind a good sentence? Take out the they and are. If overcooked, comma, vegetables lose their flavor. Same type of thing. A violin will deteriorate if it is not played occasionally. So what are the two words that we're going to take out? The it and is. A violin will deteriorate if not played occasionally. Still makes sense. Still an adverb clause, but it also is an elliptical clause since words have been taken out. We're going to turn this one into a present participle phrase. As I walked through the tall grass, I suddenly heard the rattle of a snake. Dun dun dun. So what is the verb here that's going to become my ing phrase? Walked. So we're going to get rid of everything in front of walked and turned walked into what? Walking. Walking through the tall grass, comma, I suddenly heard the rattle of the snake. Remember, present participles end with ing. Since I don't understand Spanish, I was at a serious disadvantage. So, present participle phrase again. What is the verb here that would be ing? Understand, right? Although we do want to keep the not in front of it since I didn't understand. So we would say, not understanding Spanish, I was at a serious disadvantage. Not understanding Spanish, I was at a serious disadvantage. We went to the lake so that we could escape the heat. I want this to be an infinitive phrase. So we went to the lake to do what? To escape the heat. We can get rid of everything in front of this so that we could and just put 2 in its place. So there are those answers if you require them. Okay, cool. Present participle phrase for this one is a tedious job which requires much patience. I think they're talking about teaching. So what is the verb here that's going to become ing? Requires. I don't know why that was zooming. So requires becomes requiring, right? It is a tedious job requiring much patience. Only took out one word in that case, but hey, that's still one less word that you need for your 200 word limit. The union published a full-page advertisement which stated their viewpoint on the strike. Oh my gosh, what a long sentence. Let's reduce it down a little bit into a present participle phrase. So the union published a full-page advertisement. What's the verb here? Stated, so it becomes stating their viewpoint on the strike. Still a long sentence, but hey, we got some variety going. Let's make this one into a past participle phrase. Every nail that was used in the old fort was made by hand. Now, a lot of times with past participle, the past participle is already there. So what is the past participle in that was used in the old fort? Used. We know because it's ending with ed, right? So we take out the that and the was. Every nail used in the old fort was made by hand. So there are more answers if you need them. And last one, most of the items that were advertised in the paper were sold out. Again, past participle phrase. So do I have a past participle already made in that were advertised in the paper? Yep, advertised looks like it's past participle because it ends with ed. Although remember, it could also end with like n or t or single d, anything past form. So just get rid of that and the were. Most of the items advertised in the paper were sold out. And then the last two I want to be infinitives. Remember, 2 plus a verb. So Frank had little money that he could spend on entertainment. So Frank had little money to what? To spend on entertainment. Take out the that he could and put a to in its place. We called a meeting so that we could elect officers. Again, I want an infinitive phrase. So we called a meeting to elect officers. The so that we could can all be replaced with just the word to. Okay? So you see how like the meaning isn't changed, it's just the sentence variety changes, which again is a good thing. You don't want to get bored with your writing, because if you get bored with your writing, the reader's going to get bored with your writing, and then it's not even going to be read. Okay? So let's keep this in mind and go to the worksheet.